Powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us this Thursday. I'm Jeanelle Slade.
And I'm Russ Riesinger. The lights could be staying on at the Colstrip power plants for at least a little longer.
In a 2-hour span today, a state Senate panel heard and then passed a bill that supporters say could keep the 2 largest coal-fired units at Colstrip operating well into the future.
The bill would enable Northwestern Energy to buy them for $1.
But opponents say Northwestern ratepayers would end up paying much more in long-term costs. MTN's Mike Dennison reports from the state capitol.
Under Senate Bill 278, Northwestern could buy part or all of Colstrip Plants 3 and 4 and an associated power line from its other owners, primarily other utilities in Washington and Oregon. These utilities have said they'd like to get out of coal, and Northwestern would buy the plants for $1.
This bill creates the opportunity for Northwestern to explore options with the other owners, or some of them, to acquire a larger interest at no cost to our customers and increase our ability to provide reliable and affordable electricity on a 24/7 basis.
Supporters of the bill, including organized labor, said it's a chance to save these plants from premature closure and the jobs and tax benefits that come with them.
I would say it's a give Colstrip a chance bill.
But the bill also says any other costs associated with Northwestern's ownership, operation, maintenance, additional investment, cleanup, must be covered by Northwestern's customers, the ratepayers. Opponents said it amounts to a blank check for Northwestern with no oversight by the Public Service Commission.
But I would not be surprised if Senate Bill 278, if passed, were the largest blank check given to a utility by its customer in the history of Montana regulation and probably the entirety of the United States.
But Republicans on the Senate Energy Committee, including Colstrip Senator Dwayne Ankney, quickly approved the bill Thursday, sending it to the Senate floor.
And of course I've got, I'm in this thing. I'm there. I live there. I mean, these guys that work there are my best friends. But that aside, you're still getting something for nothing.
Democrats on the panel said if acquiring Colstrip is good for Montana and ratepayers, why does the bill cut out the regulators?
Why do we have to have an end around the Public Service Commission? Why can't we go through the normal Public Service Commission process? They'd have to be crazy to turn it down, wouldn't they?
No one really answered that question. But now the bill is heading here to the Senate floor, where no doubt we'll hear another spirited debate. Reporting from Helena, Mike Dennison, MTN News.
That Senate floor debate to happen within the next few days.
Well, the former Billings Skyview football player accused of raping 4 girls will be tried as an adult next year. 17-year-old Braden Pond agreed today in Yellowstone County District Court to waive his right to a transfer hearing, which would have determined whether his case could move to juvenile court. Judge Michael Moses then ordered a jury trial set for January 21st, 2020. Now, last summer, Pond was charged with 5 counts of sexual assault without consent. Pond pleaded not guilty in September. Now, if convicted, he could spend the rest of his life in prison.
New information tonight in the federal case against a former Miles City athletic trainer accused of the sexual abuse of dozens of boys.
Newly filed documents state James Jensen was catfishing boys on the internet, and the abuse crossed state lines. His daughter told prosecutors she believed Jensen had high school-age boyfriends all across the country. Another relative saying they found Jensen using photos of students to represent himself as a teenager online.
2 victims also described abuse out of state, one at a wrestling tournament in North Dakota, the other on an athletic trip to California. It was all part of the program which Jensen is accused of using to sexually abuse male athletes under the promise of increased athletic performance.
Now, last week, Jensen was ready to plead guilty to the federal charge of using means of interstate commerce to persuade or coerce a minor into sexual activity.
But the judge stopped him, saying he first needed more proof from prosecutors. Jensen will be back in court tomorrow morning.
Also tonight, new information about Montana's statute of limitation laws for sexually abused minors.
Andrea Lutz joining us now with a look at this new bill. Andrea, what would it do?
Well, as you know, there are already bills to change Montana's civil and criminal statute of limitation laws. This bill, another bill, would essentially combine those two into one. One of the main proposals already before the legislature would remove any time limits on when a child sex abuse victim can file suit. But that bill, introduced by Democrat Shane Morageau, ran into opposition, including from a freshman lawmaker, Bill Mercer. Now the chair of the committee says the new bill will expand the current time restrictions on civil lawsuits, but not eliminate them. It would also improve reporting requirements to make it easier to prevent serial abusers. Lawmakers say this new approach can get all parties to agree.
I think this just kind of gets it to one place. Everyone's on the same page, and we're moving one bill together.
We need to get the predators off the streets and away from the children. If they're not taken off the street, then these cases are going to keep going. So to protect children, we need to get these cases reported when they unfortunately happen, and we need to get the predator off the street.
We are told details on this new bill are still being discussed, but that it will increase the time limit for victims seeking civil damages. Russ.
All right, thank you, Andrea. And meantime, an unprecedented 4-day conference on preventing sex abuse in the Catholic Church is underway right now at the Vatican. CBS's Seth Doan is there.
Pope Francis opened the first global summit on stopping clerical sex abuse with a prayer and a plea, urging church leaders to take decisive action against predator priests. Listen to the cry of the little ones who want justice, Francis said. On the eve of the summit, the pontiff met with an abuse survivor from Poland who was assaulted by a priest when he was 13 years old. Victims of abuse are not allowed inside those meetings, but church leaders are watching videotaped testimony from survivors around the world. Manila Archbishop Cardinal Luis Tagle says it's time for bishops and superiors to wake up to the harm caused by clerical sex abuse and cover-up.
We humbly and sorrowfully admit that wounds have been inflicted by us, bishops, on the victims.
Since 1950, more than 19,000 people have made allegations of abuse by Catholic clergy in the United States alone. The Vatican's former top sex crimes investigator, Archbishop Charles Scicluna, said church leaders have a sacred duty to protect victims.
It is important that every allegation is investigated with the help of experts, and that the investigation is concluded without unnecessary delay.
Vatican officials say the summit will focus on responsibility, accountability, and transparency. Victims and the Pope are demanding concrete action. Seth Doan, CBS News, Rome.
Both the Eastern and Western Montana dioceses were forced to file for bankruptcy due to claims from victims of sexual abuse. In August of 2018, the Eastern Montana diocese was ordered to pay 86 abuse victims some $20 million.
On the weather front, just when I was looking at plane tickets to fly south for some warmth, Arizona and Nevada both snow.
Let me show you what it looks like there in Arizona. You're looking at Prescott, Arizona, but also up by Flagstaff. They had 31.6 inches of snow, broke an all-time daily, all-time monthly record for snow in Arizona. This is just impressive. And even over in Las Vegas, they had about 5 to 6 inches of snow there. So let me show you what happened there. You can see it's that low-pressure cell in your screen. That continues to push its way through the Four Corner states. But I want to also show your attention. Look at the blue arrow streaming in from the west coast. That's our next storm. That low moves up in towards Canada, but our next batch of moisture starts streaming in from, of all places, Hawaii, and it's going to start pushing a lot of snow in towards Montana, and we're going to see some heavy snowfall in here over the next several days. However, not today or tomorrow, but probably starting on Sunday. We'll have more on that coming your way in a few more minutes.
All right, thank you, Bob.
Billings Hospital is now asking patients to find other options as area emergency departments reach capacity.
At Billings Clinic this morning, patients were moved to conference rooms and were evaluated in the hallways because the ER was just out of space. Billings Clinic made the announcement this morning saying it reached the highest level black on its capacity scale. The influx in patients began about 3 weeks ago and is due in part to a spike in flu cases in Yellowstone County and around the rest of the state.
Hospital staff are now encouraging anyone with the flu or other minor injuries or illnesses to call the nurse helpline or visit a walk-in or express care clinic before rushing to the ER.
This is not a crisis situation at all. We're certainly managing our patients. I believe our patients are getting outstanding, safe patient care, but this is a situation where this is impacting our flows, that we do need people to understand the wait times are going to be longer.
St. Vincent Healthcare also issued a similar alert last week.
Up next on tonight's 10 o'clock news, this gym at St. Vincent is full of friendships, determination, and hope. We're going to take you there.
And in sports, we have a few tournament teams already ticketed for divisional title games. Scott will show us who they are.
You're watching MTN News with Jeanelle Slade and Russ Riesinger. Storm Tracker weather with Bob McGuire. And sports with Scott Breen. This is the 10 o'clock news on Q2, Montana's news leader.